Hello everyone. I welcome you all for this live webinar. So today's topic will be high-speed design in Altium Designer 21. I am Rajeshwari, application engineer from PCB GraphTech. Okay, so today's topic we are going to see high-speed design. What is high-speed design and how it is going to be measured in Altium Designer. Okay, so we'll go for the agenda. So first topic, what is high-speed design? In this, we are going to see how the PCB layout becomes high-speed design, okay, and what are the reasons behind it. So that is the first topic. And second is, we'll see the high-speed design can be controlled and measured by these impedance profile, then the length matching, pre and post layout signal integrity analysis, how we are going to measure and control it. Okay, so next we will see the live demonstration. Okay, so I'll go to the first topic. What is high-speed design? Okay, so normally we will create a PCB layout. Okay, when we are doing the PCB layout, and if the PCB layout is affected by the physical characteristics of the board, like if you see the layout or the packaging or the layer stack up, something like that. So this will create as a high-speed design. Okay, second thing, if the designing boards run into problem like due to delay or attenuation problem or crosstalk or reflection, so all these we can say the board is a high speed design board. Okay, so next we are going to see what are the challenges we are facing in high speed design. There are three different challenges we have. So the first one is timing. So normally when your signal is transmitting through the track, and if the timing doesn't match with the clock signal, okay, automatically the data what we receive at the end will be a corrupted data. So that is one of the challenge we have. Second is about your integrity. When your signal is transmitting through the path and it is affected by the interference, okay, and the integrity of the signal will be affected. That is the second reason. Then the third is noise. Okay, usually the PCB will emit some noise, and if the noise is too high, okay, too more very high noise is present, then automatically the data receiving at the receiver side will be affected. So these are the three challenges we have. Now we can solve these challenges by some of the methods. So first one, we can place the terminating components. Okay, so it will reduce the uh, problem. Then second, we can apply the design rule, high-speed design rules. We have so many in our Altium Designer, like your length rule, like your match length rule. So we have many. Then next, we can also place your impedance profile. So we have the impedance profile can be set, and based on that, we can reduce the impedance mismatch along the tracks. Then we can also determine by using the different board materials. Okay, in the layer stack manager, we have the material library, so that based on your impedance value, you can select the material for the layers. Okay, and also you can arrange the layers, because you know your board is a high speed design, then you can select it's a 2 layer board or 4 layer board, and then you can select it accordingly. Okay, then based on your return path, so you can select the return path, and this return path you also have a rules can be set inside your design rule. Okay, next if you go for the vias, normally for high speed design we will not ask to use the vias. Okay, if you use vias, then there will be a lot of problems like reflections, crosstalk happens, because the vias normally pass from the top layer to the bottom layer. Okay, and also we can control your route length by using your length matching or length tuning. Okay, so these are the methods which are used to manage the challenges of the high speed design. So we will go in detail about it. First, let me go for the impedance profile. Okay, so in the impedance profile can be generated inside your layer stack manager. So in your layer stack manager, you will see that below there is an impedance here. So once you click, you can generate your own impedance profile. So this impedance profile you can generate for the single-ended nets or differential pair nets, or you can set it for coplanar transmission line. Okay, once you give your impedance, based on that, it will determine the trace width of the net. So Based on the impedance value, you can draw the trace so that reduce the impedance mismatch along the trace for high-speed design. This happens not only for your single-ended nets, you can also do it for your differential pair nets, you can also do it for your coplanar transmission lines. Okay, so here also when you select the impedance profile, you can also select the material here. Okay, material for the layer, and this material will help you to show what is the dielectric constant for that particular layer, and also what is the dissipation factor, all these for that particular layer. Okay, from that you can choose for high speed design. So once you set your impedance profile, you can assign this impedance profile in your design rules. Okay, so automatically when you go to design rules, we can just select the impedance profile. So the trace width will be automatically updated in your design rules. And then we can just do the routing. So this is one of the method you can do. Then next is about your length matching. Okay, so normally what is the length matching means? All the signals which is transmitting from source to destination must reach at the same time. That is called length matching between all the nets. Okay, so this can be achieved by applying your rules in your high-speed design rule. Okay, you can apply your length matching rule. Also, we have the length tuning also we have. The length tuning is used to allow to the certain distance by specifying the source and the destination length. Okay, so based on the length, your signal will be transmitting from the source to destination. So this is also can be set inside your design rules. So this can be done not only for your single-ended tuning, you can also do it for the differential length tuning. Okay, so you can see in the differential pair, when they are two, you can see there is an accordion, and the accordion, the red color says that we are not meeting the exact location, which is behind the limit, that is behind the minimum value. But when you see in the second picture, it is crossing your minimum value and going towards the maximum value. Okay, so it changed to the green color. Okay, so this means the length has been matched, and in the red color it says that the length has not been reached to the minimum value itself. Okay, your minimum, if you see here, so here you can see the minimum and the maximum value. Okay, so this has to be reached here. So next one is about your signal integrity analysis. Okay, in the signal integrity analysis is one of the main factor for high speed design. Okay, so normally we have the reflections, crosstalk, all this. So first let us see about the reflection. So as based on the Lee-Ritchie theory, so the issue with the reflection is normally when the tracks are half the length of the rise time. Okay, so for example, we can take, if your rising time is 100 picosecond for your integrated circuits, then your length should be less, not longer than 7.5 mm. Okay, if the length goes longer than 7.5 mm means then the tracks are called in high speed design. Okay, if the length goes greater than 7.5 mm is called as high speed design. So what is the reason for this reflection is due to poor impedance mismatch or due to the stubs on the PCB track or via stubs. Okay, for example, you can see this picture. So when your signal is transmitting from your transmitter going towards your receiver one, okay, so the signal is going to the receiver one here, but the remaining signal which is going towards receiver two, there will be a small portion which is going back from again the receiver one to the receiver two. So the small signal which is coming back from receiver one to receiver two will be acting as a reflection. Okay, so this is considered as a reflection issue we have in high speed. So next, if you go for via stub, so for reflection, the another reason is the via stub. So normally when you place the via stub, it will be from top layer to the bottom layer. For example, if your board is a 10 layer board and your signal is passing from top layer to the 6th layer. So after your signal passes through 6th layer, the remaining 7 to 10 layer, the via stub is empty, is free. So what happens when the signal is transmitting here, there will be a small leakage of the signal, and this signal will be going as a reflected signal behind. Okay, so it will be reflected back to the same stub, and then it is causing the reflection issue. Okay, so to know more about this high-speed design, you can go to this link. Okay, you can just copy this link and then you can go to the website so that you will have in more detail about all this what we are discussing here. Okay, so next is the crosstalk in your signal integrity analysis. So what is the crosstalk? Again, according to Lee Ritchie, so we can say when the tracks are 1/4 of the length of the rise time. So meaning that your length is reaching more than 1/4 of it, automatically it's called as high speed design and the signal is having the crosstalk issues. Okay, that's why you can see the example here. If the rising edge is 100 picosecond for the integrated circuit and the tracks longer than 3.75 mm, then it is considered as high speed. Okay, so normally how you will identify the crosstalk? So you can see the picture here. In the picture, I have two tracks which are close to each other. So the first track is the aggressor and the second track is the victim. Okay, so they are close to each other. So when the aggressor, that is the driven signal, it is transmitting the signal from the source to the source to the receiver. So what happens when the signal, you can see the signal is driven here, and when the signal rises up, this rising edge. So based on the rising edge, you can see the victim here. The victim track is getting the rising edge, rising overshoot here. This is due to the crosstalk. Okay, so crosstalk, it is getting the rising overshoot. Again, it is balanced. Then when it comes to the falling edge, you can see the falling edge for the aggressor as well as you will see for the victim, you will have the undershoot. Okay, so this is caused by the aggressor to the victim line. Okay, so the nets do not be close to each other. Okay, when they are close to each other in high speed design, you will get the crosstalk. Okay, so this is at the receiver side, you will see the forward crosstalk. Okay, so this is how we are getting the issues in your high speed design. So now I'm going to go for the live demonstration. So I just open the software. First, we will go for the length matching. Okay, so to do the length matching, I have taken an example of the connector here. So in this connector, I have already have one clock differential pair nets here. And then I given the net class as 1_clock. And I have one more rule here, that is match length rule I have set. So this is to show that we can set your rule and we can create your class from the schematic itself. Okay, you can do it either from the schematic side or from the PCB side. So for this case, I have done it in the schematic side. So let me show you an example how to do it. So I just go to the filter and then I'm going to do it for you now. So I just going to select the wires. So I filtered the wires, I copied the wires, and then I'm going to place it here. Okay, so now why I'm doing this actually is I'm going to do this for the same clock. Here I have the channel 2. So I'm going to copy this for channel 2 and I'm going to apply it and show you how to create the length rule and the net class in the schematic itself. Okay, so before that, let me see in the channel 2 here, I have a differential pair net class. So this is a differential pair nets. So I need to place the directive here. So I go to place directives differential pair. Then I just place the differential pair here. Okay, so once done, now I'm going to apply this channel 2 for these wires. So let me copy and paste it. So I just copy these two and then I paste it below. Sorry, I need to copy these two. Sorry. Okay, these two, I copy it and then let me paste it. Okay, you can see here, I just copied here. Now I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to paste. Okay, I just bring like this. Okay, so now I have created the net with the net label name. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a net class and I'm going to create the match length rule for this differential pair nets. Okay, so to do that, we need to have a blanket. So I just go to the blanket and I'm going to create a blanket for it. Okay, so I just create a blanket for it. Okay, I created a blanket. Now I'm going to apply the net class first. So to apply the net class, we can go to the place, directives, then we can go to the parameter set. So go to the parameter set and then we can go for press the tab key and then we can go for properties panel. Okay, in the properties panel, I'm going to change this as a net class. Okay, so net class, and then I'm going to add the net class here. Okay, add the net class. So I'm going to give the net class name as to_clock. Okay, so I just give this net name and I want to be visible. So I click on the pass button and then I just try to place it here. Okay, so I created the net class here. So now I just want to move this here. Okay, so let me move here and then press G to change the snapping grid size, adjust it here. Okay, so same thing. Now I'm going to place the rule. Okay, so to place the rule, go to place, directives, parameter set. Then I'm going to create a matched length rule. Okay, so matched length rule. Then I'm going to add a rule. So when you go to the high speed design, you will see the match length here. I just double click to open the match length. So please remember, I'm going to apply this for the differential pair nets. Okay, so you can apply your match length based on the length or based on the delay. So now I'm going to apply the tolerance to be 0.05 mm. Okay, so to change it to mm, first I need to change here from the imperial to metric. Okay, and then I need to change 0.05 mm. Okay, then it is for the differential pair nets. So I just applied it and then click OK. So the match length rule is created. I want to see this, so I click on the I symbol. Then I just try to place it here. Okay, so once you place it, now you can move your match length. Okay, I just want to move it a little bit here and then see here. Okay, I just try to place it here. Okay, now you can see I have created one rule as well as one net class. Now I want to save this and send it to the PCB side. So to do that, let me go to File, Save All. So once done, I want to push this to my PCB. So update PCB. So when you're updating, you will see what is the net class I have created and match length rule what I have created now inside my schematic side. Okay, so I just go here and then let me move and see it is 0.05 mm. Okay, so we need to validate the changes, execute the changes. So once it is done, I just close it. Okay, I come to the PCB side. Again, I need to check whether it is properly placed or not. So let me go for the design and I go for the classes. Because I created net class, I'm going to verify it. So go to class, you will see to_clock. So this is how we can create your net class from the schematic and push to the PCB. So now I'm going to create one more class. Okay, so that is just right click. This is to show that you can also create your class from your PCB side. Okay, so add class. Then I'm going to give the name of this class is to_channel. Okay, so I create this class and then you see automatically this class is created and then I'm going to add in the members for this class from here until this. So I want all this to_clock data, all this to be the member of this class. So I selected and made it to be the member. Okay, so click OK. So now I created another class. Okay, so I want to apply it inside the rules. So go to the design rules. So inside the design rules, we can see under the match length. So under match length, there is a rule which you have innet class to_clock. This is from my schematic. So I want to create one more rule. So I go for the new rule here and then I change this to to_channel. Okay, this is another rule I'm going to create it. So double click on it. So I'm just going to select the net class because I created one net class. So I'm going to apply the rule for it. So go for net class. Then I apply for 2_channel, and I'm going to apply it for the tolerance for the all mesh length. Okay, so I set the tolerance to be 0.2 mm. Okay, so apply it. So now if you go for the mesh length, you will see first one is the schematic mesh length. You can see there is a innet class 2_channel and innet class 1_channel. These two have 0.2 tolerance. Whereas when you go for the differential pair, okay, differential pair 2_clock and 1_clock has the tolerance of 0.05 mm. Okay, so this is between the nets. Okay, when they are transmitting, it will check the tolerance between each nets that they are meeting the expectation length or not. Okay, so I just applied it. Now I'm going to draw. Okay, I'm going to see here. So I have the clock here. These two are differential pair nets. This is for channel 1 and I have channel 2. Okay, I'm going to do with channel 1 here. So first is a differential pair net. So let me go for here interactive differential pair routing, and then I will start doing it. Okay, so let me minimize and show you how I'm going to do it. So let me go here closer. Okay, I just apply it. Okay, so now I have drawn the differential pair nets. So next one, I have 8 nets here, the data 0 to 7. So I will select all the pads. I'm going to do the multi-routing instead of doing one by one. Okay, so I selected all. Then I just go for interactive multi-routing. Okay, I can select from any of the pad, and then I can just go here, and then I can go for the destination. Okay, so now I have done the routing. So next step, I need to check in my PCB panel about the nets. Okay, so I need to see the nets for channel 1. So channel 1, if I see the nets, I have my signal length. You can see the signal length. It are having the tolerance issue. Okay, all in the 15.1, 14. So you can see it should be the maximum is 22.5 is the length, but others doesn't match. So it shows the violation. Okay, so I need to match. But if you see the clock underscore n and p, this is a differential pair nets. So for the differential pair nets, the negative net is higher and the positive net is smaller. So first of all, I need to match these two first. Okay, so to do that, I need to select the positive net first. Okay, and then I need to match this with the negative net, and then I can do the length tuning. Okay, so for this, I will just go for here. I can go for interactive length tuning, and then I can just adjust the size here. Okay, so you see it is automatically when I do it is adjusted to my negative net. Okay, once it is done, so now they both are same. So it is done. I'm going to do the differential pair length tuning to meet the tolerance of 22.5. So to get it, I go for interactive differential pair length tuning, and you can start doing it here. Okay, so you can see here, when you're doing this, you can adjust the size of the amplitude. You see, you can adjust the size of the amplitude by pressing the shortcut key 3 or 4, and then you can press 1 or 2 to adjust the meter size or meter angle, meter arc, all these. Okay, it can be adjusted. If you want to adjust the amplitude, you can press the comma or dot. Okay, comma or dot can be pressed to increase or decrease this length. Okay, now you see it can be going to this level. So I just stop here, but still haven't finished. I can continue this in here. From here, I can continue again. Okay, so to meet the length. Okay, now you see it has made the length here. So once it is reached, now I just click. Okay, I saw the green color and reached the length of 22.288. Okay, so it is within the tolerance. My tolerance is within it. So I just is okay. Okay, for the differential pair nets. So now next one, I go for this normal nets. Okay, high speed nets. So now I need to match this length by applying the interactive length tuning. Okay, so you can just use the here. You see when I just adjust again, you can press 2 or 1. You see now it is touching here. So what for this case, what I'm going to do, I can do it on here. Okay, I can just apply here, and then if you want to again adjust the amplitude, the size, you can do it here. Okay, you can see. You can do here, then you can continue to do here. Okay, so you can do anyhow, but it's not nice for me. So let me do it nicer. Okay, let me do it more nicer. Shift C. Okay, do it again. Interactive lane tuning. Let me do from here. Okay, so you can see here. So I just achieved it. So right click, come out of it. Okay, then for the next one, sorry. Oh, it doesn't meet the limit. Okay. Okay, I just do this. Okay. So now the next data. So you can select it and then you can do the one by one. So to achieve the length. Okay. Sorry. Because my nets are close together. Okay, so I just get like this. Okay, so you can do like this. So next one. Okay, you can do by length, you can do it here. So once it meets, you will get the green color line. Okay, so like this, you can see they are meeting your tolerance level and then you can solve one by one. Okay, so I just do one more to show you. Okay, just do here, you can see. So now you can see as the distance of the nets increasing, so this tuning becomes shorter. Okay, so previously the tuning length was bigger, but when the distance is increasing, they become shorter as they are meeting their tolerance level. Okay, so this is how you have to repeat it for other nets also. So I just go here. Sorry. Okay, so we can do this. Then I go for this net. Okay, I solve this. Then similar way, you can go for the other nets to do it, either from here or the other side. Okay, you can see the distance increases, the tuning level also reducing. Okay, so I just do this. Okay, so now I want to show you in the PCB panel, you can see more or less all are same. All the values are same. So this is to help you to identify that they are meeting their tolerance level. Okay, so this is about your mesh length can be done. So next, one more example I have to show you about the route guide. So this example I have taken for the large BGAs. If you are having the large BGAs, how to solve the issue, how to do the length tuning. Okay, so for example, I am going to show it by selecting net class 1. Okay, I have a net class 1 and net class 2. So I have these two net class. If you see the signal length, okay, so signal length, I have the violations. To solve this, the easy method, you can go for the PCB active route. Okay, open your PCB active route panel and then you can select in which layer you want to do the routing. Since I have so many layers and this active route can do in any layers what you prefer. This is the advantage, but you need to remember we cannot use the vias in the PCB active routing because high speed design, we don't prefer the vias. Okay, so we just use the layer 3 and layer 4 for doing that. You can use the tune selected, gloss results, all this here. And then you can also set your rule for trace to trace spacing and the Amanda percentage or the Manhattan length. So it also follows all the 4 rules. Okay, now I want to apply the signal ended. What is the maximum amplitude I want and what is the minimum space? For example, I want to apply the amplitude to be 50 and the space to be 10. Okay, and then if you want to change for your differential pair also, you can change it off. Okay, so now I just apply this and I'm going to do the active routing. Okay, so when I apply active routing, you will see below. Okay, in the below you can see it is processing and it will do with respect to the length tuning for my board because I have applied the rule for the tuning. Okay, so now you can see is very nicely done for my board with respect to these two layers. Okay, layer 3 and layer 4. Okay, all the thing you can see in the status bar, it shows all the information. Now my step is I need to go to the PCB panel and check for this signal length which has the violation. You see most of the nets don't have the violation. Only few nets. Okay, only 1, 2, 3, 4 nets I have the violation. For example, if I click on one of the nets, it will show where I have that violation. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to manually do the length tuning for this particular net alone. So I just go there, select, because all over all the nets have been solved. Only 1 or 2 nets have not been solved. So this you can do manually. Okay, so this can be done by using your PCB ActiveRoute, which is very easy and fast method to do the length tuning inside your large BGAs. Okay, so next we are going to see about your signal integrity analysis. So signal integrity analysis, I'm going to find out what is the reflection and what is the crosstalk happens in my board. Okay, so I'm just going to my schematic side. You can see in this project, I don't have the PCB. I have only the schematic. So the advantage of this signal integrity, you can find out the reflections from the schematic itself. You no need to have the PCB. You can do the signal integrity from the schematic itself. Okay, that is the advantage. Here in the design, you see the components I have, and then I will show you the model of it. If I click one of the component, and then you will see in the properties panel, there is an IBIS model. Okay, so click on the properties of this IBIS model. You can see the name of the model and the location of the file where I have taken the model, and then the pin models. Okay, what type of pin models have been used? 3-state pin, this is an input pin, all this. Then you can apply this model type to be a typical case, strong case, or weak case. Okay, this based on the supply voltage and temperature, it will work for the typical case, strong case, and weak case. Then below is the model selectors. Which model you want, you can select it from here. Okay, so you can do this by using your model file for your design. Okay, so I have applied the model here. And then to do the signal integrity, we can go to the tools. You will see there is a signal integrity here. Okay, so to apply the signal integrity, before that, I need to apply the rule first. So to apply the signal integrity rule and which need to be followed, you can see here we have applied the signal integrity rule. Okay, so the 3.3 volt is for supply unit here for VCC, and the voltage is 0 for the ground net. Signal integrity rule for ground net is voltage 0, 0. So this I have done by going to the place. Just I'm showing you this how I have done it. So we can go to the parameter set, and then we can go to the tab. You can just apply signal integrity rule. Okay, so once you apply, you can just go for add rule. Okay, add rule, and then this is a signal integrity, right? So you will see below there is a signal integrity rules like overshoot, undershoot, all these we have. So here if you see below there is supply nets. So this supply nets help me to apply 3.3 volt and 0 volt, okay, from source. Okay, so I just click on this, you can apply the voltage here. So you want to change imperial to metric, you can change it and you can apply what voltage you want here. Either it is 0.3 or something, whatever you want, you can apply it. And then if you click OK, you will be able to see it here. And then click on the I symbol, you will see the rule here, signal integrity rule. And then you can just move this here. Sorry. Okay, so you can see the rule and the name. Okay, but for my case, I don't want this now. I'm not going to use it. Just I show you how to apply it. Okay, so I have applied it and placed it here. Now I'm going to do the signal integrity analysis for my design. So go to tool, signal integrity analysis. Okay, once I click, you can see this is a signal integrity, I have failed in the 4 nets, that is D4, D5, D6, D7. Whereas D1 to D0, D1, D2, D3 all pass. The reason is, if you go to the schematic, you will see for D0 to D3, I have a resistor here. Okay, so this resistor act as a terminating component so that I don't have the impedance issue. But when I go to this U1B component, D4 to D7, I don't have any resistor component here. Okay, so that is why it failed here. So for this case, I will show you the setup parameters. So if you go to the menu, you can see the setup options. So in the setup options, the default, the track set is impedance 50 mils and the average track length is 50.8. This is the default settings. Okay, it will follow. And then go to the supply nets. You can add in your own supply nets, or it will follow your design rules, what you apply in your schematic. Okay, then the stimulus. Stimulus is to show the graph in the waveform, what are the values it needs to show with the start time, stop time, and the period time. All this you can set it here. Okay, so I have done this. Now I found out these 4 are failed. Okay, so you will see the falling edge overshoot, falling edge undershoot, and then rising edge and the undershoot and overshoot. So to see the reflection of this net, I want to see the reflection. Let me select this D4 net. Okay, I just select this net and move the net to here. Okay, I'm going to see the reflection for this. So to see the reflection, I click on here. So when I click on the U1 pin, you will see where the U1 pin is connected. Okay, the U1 9th pin is the input side. Okay, input side of the D4 net. Then U2, if I click, so the cross probing is done. You do the cross probing to show you what is the pin connected to which component. So I click U2, it automatically go to the U2B and the 11th pin here. So now I'm going to analyze for this net, what is the reflection. Okay, so to analyze, we will see below no termination, series resistors, all we have. So let me select the series resistor also, and then you can suggest the value, what value you want to find. For example, I choose 39 ohms. Okay, I prefer 39 ohms and I want to see the reflection in no termination case and series resistor of 39 ohms. Okay, so I just click on reflection. Okay, once I click reflection, let me close this. You will see here. So I have the net for D4 U1 under 1.9, no termination. If I click no termination, this is the input and this is the output. Okay, with no termination, I have the rising edge and the falling edge. You can see at the rising edge. This is from U1 component and this is in the U2. Okay, when it reach at the receiver side. So this is for no termination. When I use the resistor of 39 ohms, you will see the reflection has been reduced. Okay, it is like a normal waveform. There is no rising edge. So this is how we can determine what is the how the reflection occurs and how we can solve by placing an impedance value. Okay, so now let me go to the schematic page. Okay, so I just go to my schematic here. Again, I want to open my integrity panel, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just want to see the sweep values. Instead of one resistor value, I want to see for range of values, which is the correct value I want to find out. So I just go for to perform the sweep. Okay, and then change my resistor from 10 to 50 ohm resistor. Okay, and then I want to perform the sweep of 5 sweeps. You can select 10 sweeps or 20 sweeps. You can select and then you can see the reflections. Now I want to see the reflection based on minimum value of 10 to 50 and for this D4 net. So start reflection and let me close this. So this was initially we done. Below, if you see here, you can see no termination with the source and then the receiver side U2 component. So this is for series 1 is for 10 ohms. Okay, 10 ohm. What is the rising edge? Then 20 ohms. You will see the rising edge is slowly reducing. Then for 30 ohms, still reducing. And when it goes for 40 ohms, it's perfect. Okay, you will not have rising edge here. Then go to 50 ohms. So like this, we can determine what is the rising edge of the from the source to the destination. Okay, so this is how about your signal integrity from the schematic side. You will see the time along your x-axis and the voltage along your y-axis and the corresponding simulation data panel here. You will see what is the rise time, fall time, minimum value, all the informations in your simulation data panel for the selected net. Okay, selected net with the selected impedance value. Okay, this is about your signal integrity. We can do it inside the schematic side. Now, I want to show you one more thing is about the reflection and crosstalk in your PCB side. Okay, so to do that, let me add a PCB here. I just want to add a PCB. So I just add a PCB here. Open the PCB. Okay, now I have a PCB here. So in the PCB, this is a high-speed design. I have the nets here. So let me go top layer, and then I want to show you with respect to the top layer, I have the nets, and then I just go for run the signal integrity and show you what happens directly. So tools, signal integrity. Okay, so when I run the signal integrity, you will see all the nets are passed. Okay, all the nets are passed. This is due to the impedance profile. We set it in your design layer stack manager. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my impedance profile. Okay, so to change, if I change the impedance profile, what happens? And then if I change the overshoot, undershoot values in my design rule, what happened? This is what we are going to see now. Okay, so I go to design, then I go for layer stack manager, and then let me set my impedance profile. Okay, you will see the impedance profile. I have this 50 ohm here. So I just want to change this to 75 ohms. Okay, I just change it to 75. So once I do this, I want to save this to my PCB. Okay, I saved this to my PCB here. Sorry. Okay, I open my PCB. So now once I done it, I need to update it in my design rules. So go to design rules here and then go to the width rule. So I need to update the value here. So the impedance profile I'm using is 75 ohms. Once I click apply and OK, I will see the violation here. Why I see this violation? Because the width of the trace has been changed. Okay, for 75 ohm, it is 0.177. This is for previous value. So let me go for shift S. I go to the top layer and then I will do the retracing here. Okay, based on the impedance profile, I need to retrace. Sorry, I need to select all this. Hold the shift key, select all the trace, and then let me do the retrace. Go to route, retrace selected. Okay, now you will not have the issue. It is following the 75 ohm resistor. Okay, so once it is done, I'm going to go for the signal integrity and then see it again. Okay, I go to signal integrity. Okay, still it is passed. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply the overshoot, falling overshoot and rising overshoot rule. I'm going to apply and see whether I'm getting any reflection issues or not. So let me go here and then go for your set tolerance. In the tolerance, if you see there is a falling edge overshoot, it's a minimum is 300 mils all set here. Okay, so I'm going to change this value by going for the PCB signal integrity rules. So I just go to the PCB signal integrity rules and then below you will see there is an overshoot falling edge. Okay, under the signal. So I want to change this to 0.3. Okay, then again overshoot rising edge. I want to change this to 0.3. Then I want to change undershoot falling to be 0.3. Then undershoot rising edge to be 0.3. Okay, so apply. So once we can also confirm all. So it is 0.3 here, all the values. Okay, I changed it. Okay, so once you have done, you click OK, you will see the falling edge and the rising edge all goes to the violation. You see 341 point. Okay, so it's above 300 mils. So it is showing the violation. So it is means they all have the failed the nets failed here and we are getting the reflection issues. Okay, this is how you can easily find out. Okay, how we are achieving our falling edge, how we are achieving our raising edge, overshoot, rising edge, undershoot, all these. Okay, so now I'm just going to close this, and then next one more thing I want to show you is the crosstalk. Okay, so to do the crosstalk, I will best take the example bottom layer. Okay, go to the bottom layer and then choose the nets. You can see the nets here are close to each other. All the nets are close to each other. So what happened? These nets is D4 to D7 nets. Okay, so they are close to each other. When the signal is transmitting, I should get the crosstalk. Okay, this crosstalk I'm going to see now how the crosstalk is getting here. Okay, so to do that, again I go to Tools, Signal Integrity. Okay, selecting then this. So tool signal integrity, let me select the nets like your D5 to D7 and then D4 net. Okay, because this is in the bottom layer, D4, D5, D6, D7. These are in the bottom layer, and let me choose these 4 nets. Okay, so here we can choose which nets to be aggressor, because I need crosstalk means I need 2 nets, at least 2 nets. One should be the aggressor and one should be the victim. So I just right click and I need to set the aggressor. Okay, so I right click and set the aggressor for D4 nets. You can set it to any nets. So I set it for D4 as aggressor. Automatically, if you see, the D5, D6, D7 will become the victim for this D4 net. Okay, so these 3 becomes the victim nets. Okay, now if again I choose the aggressor, you will see it is do the cross probing for U1. You can see the cross probing here. So showing the cross probing to the particular pin of the nets here. Okay, so U1, U2 also, if you click, you can see the cross probing here. So once it is done, now I'm going to do the crosstalk for this. Okay, so you can use no termination. I don't want to use the series resistor. Just show for no termination, go for crosstalk. Okay, so once you do the crosstalk, I will just close here. So you will see on the top here. So this is U2-11, okay, on net D4. So net D4, this is your U2 component and this is your source. So U1.9, so source component for D4 net. So from the D4 net, it is going forward, okay, to U2. So you will see the crosstalk is rising from here to here. But when you see the parallel net, D5 is the parallel net for D4. Okay, which is close to D4 net. You will see the crosstalk, how the crosstalk is occurring for the D5 net. Okay, this is D5 net for U2 component, whereas you see the same D5 for U1 component, okay, from the source side. So it is highly affected. Okay, so from this we can determine that the net which is close to each other will have a high crosstalk. Okay, so what is the solution for this is we need to place the nets at least little away from each other. They should not, for high speed design, the nets cannot be very close to each other. When they are very close, you will have the crosstalk issues. Okay, so this is what we have found out from this high speed design. Okay, okay, let me go for my here. Okay, I finished my demo. If you want on-site demonstration, free demos, you can just email to sales@pcbgt.com.sg. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. See you all in the next webinar. Okay, thank you.